Welcome to Therapy Inspired podcast. As therapists, we have a unique view of the world. We hold a space for grief and trauma, and yet we also get to witness resilience and healing, all while being human ourselves. We hope to share helpful psychoeducation with our insights from our world as psychotherapists. And now a disclaimer. We'll be talking about things related to therapy. However, listening or engaging with this podcast does not equate to a therapist-client relationship. And while we may discuss insights from working with various clinical issues, we don't reference specific cases. Hi, my name is Darby Crosby, and I'm the owner of Crosby Counseling and Wellness. I offer individual, couple, and family therapy to anyone in Ontario. My practice is entirely virtual with a secure platform.
I'm Kameela Osman. I'm a registered social worker and a psychotherapist. I have a practice Elite Counseling and Consulting Services in Bowmanville where I do in-person therapy, and I also offer virtual therapy throughout Ontario. Today on Therapy Inspired, we're talking about grief and gratitude. Grief and gratitude are two emotions that seem like opposites, but they actually walk hand in hand. Whether you're grieving the loss of a loved one, a major life change, or simply unmet expectations, it's possible to hold space for both pain and the small moments of gratitude that can help carry us through. On this Thanksgiving weekend, a time meant for reflection and giving, we'll all be taking or we'll be talking about how these two emotions can coexist and how we can honor both in our healing journey. Today, we'll explore practical ways of embracing gratitude, even in the midst of grief, and how it can become a vital part of your emotional wellness.
So a lot of times when we think about grief and loss, we think about the death of a loved one. And that is obviously true, but losses can be other things as well. Loss of a relationship, loss of a job, or not getting that promotion that you'd hope for. It can also be pregnancy loss. It can be any changes that we go through, right? Menopause, like all sorts of things can feel like grief and loss. And what we want to do is to take that and sort of also sort of appreciate the changes that come with that. So, what can I do to show gratitude? Can I consciously recognize positivities, even though there's a lot of sadness? So sometimes gratitude is more of a mindset where we are focusing more on the positive and the things that are really we're thankful for in our life.
Yeah. Gratitude can be healing in lots of different ways. We can shift our focus away from pain and hardships to small moments of comfort and joy. This helps promote emotional balance. It encourages the release of positive emotions, which reduces stress and fosters resilience. Gratitude helps us create a sense of connection to others, making us feel less isolated during difficult times. And it can enhance mental health by increasing feelings of hope and well being, and even improving sleep and mood. It helps build habits of finding meaning and purpose, which can support long term healing when it comes to wellness and mental health.
So grief can sometimes feel very all-consuming because grief carries with it lots of different emotions, sadness, anger, frustration, lots of things. And as a result, it leaves very little emotional space for really feeling any kind of positivity in life around loss. Again, what we want to do is we want to sometimes feel gratitude that we knew this person or we had this opportunity, even though sometimes it may feel a little bit inappropriate, right? If somebody's died and you know they were suffering, you may be relieved that they're no longer suffering, and that may feel inappropriate. That may feel like maybe you're not, giving them, paying enough attention to the loss or grieving as significantly. But it's all hand in hand, as we mentioned. It's sort of the flip side of the same coin, right? So if we struggle with guilt when we're trying to feel sort of grateful in our grieving process, it sometimes carries with it lots of different feelings, like betraying your sadness or not feeling that person was that important. But that's not necessarily true, because that person also gave us a lot of things that we can be grateful for. So we do need to be able to give ourselves permission to feel both grief and gratitude. We don't want to say only one thing is appropriate at this time. We need to say, you know, both of them coexist at the same time, and it's okay to feel sad and the deep feelings of loss, but it's also good to feel the things that we're grateful for as a result of crossing paths with that person or that experience. And again, we don't want to jump into this with huge different things. We're going to start very small. We're going to just think about the person from, you know, whatever their relationship was, they were a friend, just sort of think about the good times, maybe just even having a peaceful moment of remembering what you did with that person. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be very, very simple. And keeping your gratitude practice very gentle, like not forced, just it's just really, you know, being able to sort of tell yourself that this is, I'm really glad that I have this moment in the safe space to grieve.
Mhm. Yeah, very small, simple things can make that difference to feeling more at peace and more at ease. Work through acceptance in that gratitude. Another strategy is to honor what you miss. So use gratitude as a way of honoring the person, the relationship, or the phase of life that you're grieving. Reflect on what it brought to your life, and like you said earlier, Darby, we want to do that without inducing guilt. We're not trying to minimize or suppress the grief. Like you said, we want to acknowledge both things can exist. So I know that this is really painful. I know that I'm in grief, and we can acknowledge that pain while also acknowledging that I also know that this brought me this other part of my life, or to the next stage, or to the next relationship, or I also know this person left this quality behind within me, and I can honor that by embodying that quality of that person. I'm going to try to embrace more of their sense of humor or something of that nature. We can work at giving ourselves grace. Gratitude doesn't have to be a constant. There are some days that grief is just going to be very big and almost like a wave. Therapists will often describe grief as it comes in waves, and some days that wave will come on and it may feel impossible to feel gratitude. And that's okay. We want to honor where we're at in the process, but not be insulated by one or the other, to know that we don't have to suppress that grief and just stay in gratitude, just stay positive all the time. And we also don't want to be, I use the word insulated in terms of we're not seeing anything else, not to be insulated by the grief and not see the moments of hope, the moments of joy that are in our life. And so that balance of allowing what's happening for you, seek support if needed. So share your grief and your moments of gratitudes with others. This can be through conversations with trusted friends or a support group, and let others hold space for you, both in sorrow and moments of thankfulness. And that's why Thanksgiving can be beautiful in some ways. Joining together with others and sharing what they're grateful for sometimes can inspire perspective for what you're also grateful for that you may not have acknowledged. And the same thing goes for sharing sorrow. When we share our grief with others, again, that validation, it may not be that the person's experiencing the same grief that you are, but they can relate. They know grief. They also know what it's like to have that emotion of grief. And that makes a difference to share and connect, empathize with each other in that way. Another couple exercises that you can try is to try a mindful gratitude. So during moments of sadness, take a deep breath and gently ask yourself, is there anything, however small, that you can think of that you're grateful for in that moment? And that can bring balance without dismissing your grief. Again, it's not replacing the grief. It's not forcing yourself to feel that. It's what else is happening that you can feel gratitude for. And create a gratitude ritual, whether it's lighting a candle or a memory box, writing a letter about the situation or to the person, depending on what's going on. And those rituals of connection can help us be grateful for where we're at in that process of grieving.
I think it's important here to mention too the difference between empathy and sympathy. Brene Brown has created a fantastic video on YouTube that talks about empathy and sympathy. So empathy is when a person can join with another person where they're at, like they can actually be in the mud with somebody else. Whereas sympathy is feeling sorry for them and forcing them sort of out of their state. Like, it's okay, you can, you know, it'll be better tomorrow. So it's important that we empathize with people who are experiencing grief. And it's important that we acknowledge the sadness that other people may hold. So recently, there have been a few special awareness days, like September was Suicide Awareness Month, and last week was Mental Illness Awareness Week. And so it's really important for us to sort of become more mindful and more aware of mental health needs, and how to notice things and what we can do to offer support to people in our lives that are having some difficulties. It's really important that the more we are all aware, we can provide that connection and that comfort that may change a person's perspective from hopelessness into hope. I hope everybody has a great week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye for now.